Hello, all you lovely lads and lasses. My name is Gamer, and welcome to New Things movie reviews that no one's going to watch, probably. So, what I might not have said in my Let's Plays is that, obviously I am a gamer because I do Let's Plays, but I also love movies, and I'm going to review new ones because I feel like it, okay? Now, this isn't the first movie I've seen this year, but it's the first one I'm reviewing because, well, A, I was lazy, and B, I had my exams and all that bullshit. So, yeah. And I'd also been kind of ashamedly looking forward to this. But just for disclaimer and the inevitable top 10 I'll have to do at the end of the year, I guess. So this year, also seen the Lego Batman movie, which was a great comedy. I thought, I did love the Lego movie, but at the same time, I was kind of thinking that. So when I saw the Lego movie, I expected it to just be, go and buy some Lego now, which it kind of was, but it was also a good film. But so even though I like the Lego movie, I was kind of expecting Lego Batman to be that, but no, it wasn't. It was actually. It was like the Lego movie before it. It was a good, funny film, and it was actually a really good parody of Batman as well, which was interesting. So the Lego Batman movie, I think, is a 9 out of 10. Yeah, I'm doing out of 10 scores. John Wick Chapter 2 was a great action sequel. Yes, sequel. I don't know how often you get to say that, a great action sequel, but yeah, it's. And I wish more action films were being made like that. And there's a lot of people who said it was worse than the first one. I actually think it was better than the first one, but I can kind of understand. I can't kind of understand why you'd think it's worse, but I thought it was better than the first, so 9 out of 10. Get Out was a kind of interesting look at racial issues. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was an interesting film that had a few things to say about I guess the ratio of black people to white people in Western society, and like how it can feel pretty uncomfortable. And I also thought it was genuinely quite unnerving a lot of the time, and it was also really funny, surprisingly. So yeah, that was an 8 out of 10. Logan. Now, Logan was fucking fantastic. Like, my favourite film of the year so far. A great send-off to Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, if it really is his last time as Wolverine. And, yeah, it was fucking brilliant. I couldn't think of anything wrong with it. 10 out of 10. Power Rangers. Now, I don't know if this is important. I don't think this should be important, but to some people it is. I don't. So before I went to see Power Rangers, I didn't really know anything about it. I'd never watched it before. That being said, I thought Power Rangers was okay. It was alright. I thought the Rangers themselves had good chemistry. They were well acted. The action scenes were fine, I suppose. Well, no, pretty good actually, but I thought the story was really cliche, nothing we haven't seen before. It's decent enough while you're watching it, but it's really forgettable. You're not going to remember it in like 2 days, so I can't even remember what I specifically thought was wrong with it, but I do remember that I decided it was a 5 out of 10. So there you go. The Fate of the Furious. the eighth Fast and the Furious film. Now, obviously, you don't go into a Fast and Furious film expecting deep analysis of the human condition, and you just expect shit blowing up, and The Rock being a badass, and Vin Diesel being a badass, and it's just good and fun, and yeah, that's exactly what the Fate of the Furious was. It's completely stupid, but it owns it. It knows it's completely stupid, and I just love it for that. Although I didn't think that Charlize Theron as the villain was particularly a good villain. Yeah, but I did really like the Fate of the Furious. 8 out of 10. Wonder Woman. Now, I haven't said this. I might have said this in my Let's Plays. I don't know, but I haven't been too impressed with the DCEU so far. Until Wonder Woman, I thought it was just getting worse and worse. Like, Man of Steel was alright. Batman v Superman was bad. Suicide Squad was dog shit. But yeah, Wonder Woman, I actually really liked it. It kept it simple. It wasn't trying to cram 15 different characters we've never seen in this universe before and make you all care about them simultaneously. It just kept it simple. Gal Gadot, I don't know. Whatever. She as Wonder Woman, she was great. She perfectly captured everything about Wonder Woman. Chris Pine was also pretty good. Like, they bounced off each other nicely. And yeah, you might say it's nothing special for the superhero genre, which it isn't really, but I didn't mind that so much because it was all done really well. Like, although the villains were a bit crap, and the finale just added in a twist that I didn't think it needed. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Baby Driver. Now, I was really looking forward to this one because it's an Edgar Wright film, and I fucking love Edgar Wright's films. I didn't seem to like this as much as most people did, although I enjoyed it. It had it had really well done car chases, really well done shootouts. It's got the trademark Edgar Wright directing. Edgar Wright's one of those directors where you can just watch a film and tell he directed it. It's got all his trademarks, and I didn't seem to like it as much as most people did, though, because I thought Baby himself was a bit flat for the first half, arguably for the whole film, and also the romance was kind of crap. I just didn't buy it because just didn't buy it. Didn't think they had particularly good chemistry. Like, there's never they never have scenes where you go, "Aww," or anything. That's a rubbish reason, but I don't know, it just kind of fell flat. But I still enjoyed it. 7 out of 10. Spider-Man: Homecoming. I'm just gonna say it. Tom Holland, he's my favourite Spider-Man now. He did great. Honestly, I haven't seen Civil War. I still haven't, so I didn't know if he was any good. But yeah, he's good as Spider-Man. Like, Tobey Maguire wasn't a great Spider-Man. He was good. He was good as Peter Parker. And Andrew Garfield wasn't a good Peter Parker. But Tom Holland, he just gets he gets it. He gets Peter Parker and Spider-Man and yeah, and it was also a different take on Spider-Man. I like that it wasn't just rehashing everything that we've seen before, like like how the Amazing Spider-Man did. I don't think Uncle Ben is even mentioned at all in this one. So yeah, it doesn't faff around with shit we've already seen before. Although I felt it started really losing steam towards the end for reasons that I can't say because of spoilers, and also I wasn't really too sure on the villain's motives. I mean, they explain it, but I didn't think it really made sense, is what I'm saying. And finally, Dunkirk. Now, this is definitely the most controversial opinion I've had all year. I thought Dunkirk was alright. It was okay. I mean, it's beautifully shot, like that, and yeah, it's fantastically shot. The action scenes are tense as all hell. It feels ridiculously bleak without being needlessly gory. Like I would have, but like before I saw Dunkirk, I would have said that all war films should be like really gory and really violent to really drive home what war is. But no, you don't really need that apparently. With all that said, however, the characters, like what character? They weren't, and I know some people have said that start that again. That in war you don't get to know anyone because you're too busy surviving and all that, so it makes sense. Well, no, that's bullshit. I mean, they were sitting on the beach for an entire week, not doing anything most of the time. So, yeah, you try and tell me that there's no time for any characters. No, that's bullshit. And also, I thought it was just so repetitive. Like I don't see anyone else talking about this, but every time it switches back to Tom Hardy piloting, the plane, he flies around for a bit, shoots down another bomber, talks to some guy on the radio, then it's back to the beach again, all the guys on the boat. Every time it switches back to the guys on the beach, it's like, they wander around, find somewhere new to hide out until the boats come, and then the place starts flooding, so they have to swim out, and yeah. And also the way it's structured with like the soldiers on the beach a week before they're rescued, the guys on the boat a day before they get to the beach, and Tom Hardy protecting them from the bombers an hour before they're rescued. That made it really confusing for me, like when certain things were happening in relation to each other. Like when the people on the boat rescue some guy who's drowning. I thought it was someone we'd already seen before drowning, but it wasn't, and that was just really confusing. But so yeah, most controversial opinion I've had all year, Dunkirk, 6 out of 10. So now we have all that bollocks out of the way, let's get to the actual review. So, Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, which I guess means they're doing more of these, was directed by David Soren and stars Kevin Hart, Ed Helms, Thomas Middleditch, Nick Kroll, Jordan Peele, and Kristen Schaal. I don't know. And it's based on the best-selling kids book series written by Dave Pilkey. I'm assuming that's Dave. Might be Dav, but that's just weird. So this is about two pranksters named George and Harold who have a very mean principal, and he makes life miserable for all the students at their school. So they decide to hypnotise him, and the joke, and they're just having fun, goofing around with their hypnotised principal, and it goes a bit too far, and they make him think he's a character from the comic books they write, the amazing Captain Underpants. So he goes off to fight crime, even though he doesn't have any superpowers. And so while they're trying to keep a leash on him, running around in public in his underwear, they've also got a new science teacher who might have a secret agenda of his own. So I read the books back in primary school, and I thought they were bloody hilarious. In fact, I reread two of them before I went to see this film, and I still think they're bloody hilarious because I'm just so mature these days. So with that in mind, I'll say if you're a hardcore fan of Captain Underpants, that sounds really weird now when I say it out loud. Like if you need absolutely everything to be the same as it is in the books, yeah, that's not going to happen here. But I thought it knew what to change from the books and what to keep the same, and I think that's the best kind of adaptation. Something you can look at and easily recognise as the thing it's adapting. You can look at this and say, yeah, where the fuck else would you see a movie about a fat middle-aged guy running around in his underpants and a curtain around his neck? But it also throws in a lot of new material of its own, and it mixes aspects of all the books, well, not all the books, a few of them together. This is another origin story movie, I guess you could say, but it sounds really weird describing it like that, but it is. It shows how George and Harold hypnotised their principal and created Captain Underpants, but however, the villain of the movie is Professor Poopy Pants. Yes, I did just say that. So if you're just cringing at that name, then just don't bother with this film. Review's over. 1 out of 10. But if you don't mind that, just continue. So if you haven't read the books, that won't mean anything to you. But if you have, he was actually the villain of the 4th book, I think. 4th or 5th. I don't remember. But his plan in the book, I think. Wait, let me remember this. His plan in the book. Oh yeah, it was to. So he's getting sick of everyone laughing at his stupid name. So instead of just changing his own name, he makes everyone else change their name to something stupid. I think. I don't know, it's been a while since I read that one. That's not what happens in this film though, so. But I didn't mind that. To be honest, I thought a lot of the changes they made, they made it better, really. It makes some of the characters a lot less flat than they are in the books. If they'd stuck to the books, it wouldn't have been as good, honestly. So voice acting, pretty good. Ed Helms as Mr. Krupp, somehow he sounds exactly like how I imagined it reading the books, which was weird. A bit of a out-of-body experience. That was not the phrase I was looking for, but it's the one I'm going to go with. Nick Kroll as Professor Poopy Pants. He's pissing hilarious. Every time he opened his mouth, I just had the dumbest grin on my face. Because he talks with that very smug and smart type, evil German mad scientist. Yeah. And he goes for it. It's just so over the top. I had the dumbest grin every time he opened his mouth. Unfortunately, there are weak links in the voice acting, and it's the two leads. Like, unfortunately, Kevin Hart as George and Thomas Middleditch as Harold. Like, it's not bad voice acting. They sound convincing. They sound, like, well, they sound like how they're supposed to. The problem is that they sound at least 25 years old. And, they're supposed to be, like, 9, 10. I think it's 10, actually. But they sound 25 years old, which is a bit of a problem when they're the two main characters and they have the most screen time. Like, some people might not be bothered by that, but I thought it was the most distracting thing ever. Beyond that, yeah, voice acting was great. The animation, as you can see here, it is really colourful, really bouncy. Like, it doesn't look like most DreamWorks films. Like, I didn't think it was a DreamWorks film, but apparently this was made for a pretty low budget. Well, compared to other DreamWorks films anyway, but it still looks great. Like, it looks just like the books. It looks really nice and colourful, and there's a lot of detail. But let's just address the elephant in the room. The comedy in this. Because you don't. With that said, you don't go to a strip joint for the beer, and you don't go to a film called Captain Underpants expecting a sophisticated sense of humour. I mean, yep, fart jokes, poop jokes, wee jokes galore. But yeah, I'm kind of ashamed admitting that I thought it was funny. What makes it good, it wasn't just poop, laugh, bitches. Yeah, it actually kind of turns the fart joke on its head a bit, because there's a scene where when they've got their principal hypnotised, they make him conduct a whoopee cushion orchestra, and I'm so ashamed of myself, but I thought it was funny. However much of me is still a kid, just enjoying it because that noise is funny. I thought present me was enjoying it just as much. For the surprisingly good characters and even more surprisingly good humour. So as for complaints, I already mentioned that the characters the leads sound at least 25 years old, and I also thought there was a lot of dialogue that felt really exposition-y, like they were telling the audience how to feel rather than just letting you feel. And there's a huge exposition dump at the beginning, and like it makes sense because they did break the fourth wall. No, they didn't just break the fourth wall. They shattered the fourth wall into pieces in the books, and then they shattered those pieces into pieces, and then they ground up the pieces and snorted them. So it makes sense, but I just thought it just sounded way too much like exposition-y. So those are my complaints. Some may be a bit disappointed with the length. It's only 89 minutes long. But, I thought that was fine. Like, it does everything it needs to do in a time limit that the kids won't get bored with. Well, hopefully. Yeah, so I didn't mind the relatively short lengths. Excuse me, yawning. It's not because I'm bored. So, yeah. So, and it's never really struck me as particularly valuable. It's particularly useful just determining a film's value just on its length. No, and I just bashed my microphone. Sorry, I just did it again. I'm doing it on purpose just to piss you off, probably. Or am I? So yeah, we're school out for summer now. Yeah, this is actually a really good family movie that, everyone can laugh at and enjoy, so Yeah, it's not the kind of film that you just drag your little shit, that your little shits drag you off to see, and you end up with earplugs in the whole time because it's so god awful. It's good. So yeah, if your kids can shut up for an hour and a half and not make anyone want to pull their own ears off, then yeah, take them to see this. School out. I'm going to give Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, an 8 out of 10. Yeah, really surprised by this actually. It would have been so easy for it to just be meaningless toilet humour and bollocks that will only make a 7-year-old laugh, but really well written, really well animated, with some surprisingly deep character arcs. Actually, even more surprising. So yeah, now school's out. Take kids to see this. Do not, I repeat, do not take them to see the Emoji Movie. Oh wait. Oh, I'm gonna have to review that too, aren't I? Oh fuck!